want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Paul M Booth, or come to Facebook. Always open to have conversations with people. My thing is problem solving, and I wrap up as a brand. Your questions you ask are applicable to every business.
Okay.
And if people don't know why they're unique, if people don't know who their target audience are, if people don't know what's their differentiator, if people don't know how to communicate with people, engage with people, or be unique, they're not going to sell fuck all. And it's just it's the standard of how people build businesses. It's like, why Coca-Cola, why Pepsi, why Mercedes, why BMW? Why is Andrew Tate doing it? Why did Liver King blow up out of nowhere? Why do people follow people? And that's what I want to get across on this to like your coaches and the people that work, and the fitness guys, is that best way to learn marketing or understand what makes a strong brand is what attracts your attention, what stops you on Facebook or on Instagram or TikTok and stop and watch someone, then follow them and continually watch them. If they understand that process, they understand marketing. Like,
awesome.
Yeah. And I might, if you ask a question, I might even dip into like, because I know a lot of you guys on your programs are people that obviously take PEDs. I've got nothing against steroids, but I built my brand around people being against people with PEDs. Not because I'm against it, because I understood that there was an opportunity there to connect with people that were like, I'm a real person, sure. I want to get a real body, and I don't want to take proteins or supplements that are pushed by people that are geared off the nut. So I knew that was a kind of market back in 2011. So it allowed me to have a differentiator opposed to everyone else. A bit like James Smith, the PT guy. He had a differentiator. He just called out all the bullshit. Well, what people presumed to be the bullshit, and that gave him a differentiator to everyone else. And now I liked him at the start, and I kind of don't watch him anymore because he's got bigger, he's had to soften his approach.
Yeah,
and then
sure.
To me now it becomes a little bit boring, whereas I like people that are slightly out there,
And all those things, when you're developing a brand, all those things, when you create an us and them scenario, then you get people to buy into your tribe because you have a common, like when you look at like marketing and strategy and things, you then all have a common enemy that you're all in your camp, like opposing, which then builds up the unity of your camp and your social community that you're developing.
Yeah, and it's no different to politics. Like Trump is a divisive character, and people he got to position because he was divisive. He made people love him and hate the opposite party. There's no different to, if you want to get too deep into cultural behaviors, how like there's always a black and white divide. People create that black and white divide, and people have an opinion. You've got to have keep people with opinions and a reason to hate someone else. So ultimately, a brand, and I say this with all my clients, a brand is like building a cult. If you read books on cults, you suddenly understand marketing, because a cult is all about, as you said, is giving people an identity, like religion, giving people an identity to go with. It doesn't matter what it is, but it gives people something to identify with and feel like they're part, because human nature is I want to be part of a community. So it's because people go, oh, I'm selling a program. How do I? And they're trying to sell the program as does everyone else. Like they've got a six pack, they've got massive shoulders. And who cares? That's the point. What makes you different? It doesn't have to be. Go on, mate.
Let's define like what a brand is. Like for someone that's, if you're a coach and you're just, so I'm like Mark Fox coaching at the moment. It's just me, Mark Fox. What is a brand in comparison to that?
It's an identity that someone identifies you as. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like I don't know if you want me to swear on here or not, but I kind of say like this. You've got to give people a reason to give a fuck about you. Why should you care? Like when we're at school, right? The hottest girls fancy the guy that's the coolest. That guy who's the coolest at school probably ends up being a drug dealer in prison or dead. The coolest guys in school are never usually around nowadays. They've got the bum ass jobs and stuff like that, but they were cool at the time. So it's human instinct, right, to be attracted to a certain individual at a young age. Now, as we get older, we connect with things that look like us, identify like us, and feel like us. Now, going back to when I started my own supplement brand years ago, it was I just came out of the military, super in shape, was going into the fitness space because I want a year off of engineering and doing military stuff because I'd had enough of it. I went into the fitness space, and then I go, okay, I want to make some supplements for myself. So I found out how to do it, and I was like, so okay, I thought, launch a brand then. Why not? My mates are asking me for, can we get some of your protein? So I thought, okay, I'll launch a brand. And I thought, then who's the brand for? And people say, why have you made it? I say, I made it because all the other stuff in the market's crap, and it's pushed by guys on steroids that me at the time did not trust anyone with steroids. I'm like, if you're taking steroids, how can you tell me how my body's going to react to nutrition, exercise? Because I haven't got because being from a sports background, decathlete, playing rugby for Navy, both Union League, I was like, how can someone like that tell me how my body's going to respond to food and nutrition if they get up for their eyeballs? Now, I have nothing against, like I said, I've got nothing against people on steroids, but at the time, I was like, I'm not taking information from them. So that's how my brand kind of started. And it was kind of the same time as when Gymshark started. It's like Gymshark created a brand because they created apparel for a specific type of the fitness market, and then people attached that. Who was his name? Z's or what his name was? The guy who was just doing that.
Oh, Z's, yeah.
Z. So Gymshark attached himself to that movement at the time, kind of. So the stringer vest was almost like a symbol of the natty movement back in 2011, 2012, and that's how Gymshark exploded. Then as Gymshark matured, they realized that you just can't wear a stringer vest with your nipples hanging out all the time. But they built a whole brand around this identity of the natty world. So when we talk about what creates a brand basically creates itself through people caring about a product or an individual. Like what is so the question that is like, so James Smith, what makes James Smith a brand? What he says, that's all it is. It's not because he likes to wrestle or does a BJJ. It's not because he's got blonde hair, lives in Australia and rides a skateboard. Actually, it's all of that. It's just him. It's him, the way he communicates to his audience and the way he speaks. That's created James Smith, the brand, because he's unique and different. The body coach, what made him unique and different? It started off him going wallop on Instagram, making food, right? Wallop, he's my meal. I remember meeting Joe before he was even a body coach and had any friends basically on social media. He's just a nice guy, but he created an identity and a reason for people to like him because he just created something different. And at the time, he was different. The way he spoke and what have you. Yes, he knew a few people in TV. But I can remember remember a guy called James Hazlitt years ago.
I do. Yeah, I actually spoke to him a few times.
Yeah, WBFF, one of the guys, Irish guy, youngest WBF pro, or what it was at the time. Joe Wicks did his 8-week body transformation program, what it was, and it was on his thing. But you think that James is probably maybe doing well right now, but like Joe Wicks is a multi-millionaire, right? So Joe just found, he created a brand by just being himself first, doing something different that people identified as. And as people identified as him, he thought, well, okay, I've got to create a character now or create a brand around it. It was just Joe Wicks, the body coach. People, always trying to search for, how do I create a brand? You create a reason for people to give a fuck about you. And that's ultimately then creates a brand. It's like an army.
So that would be if I was coming for like a consultation from you and I was like, Paul, like I want to grow my social now. I want to go from Mark Fox, just the coach, to like create a brand, like Fox Coaching, let's call it. What would be some of the first steps that you'd sit down with me and help me in order to develop this? Like what process would we go through?
I want to find out why you're unique.
Okay.
So that's the first thing is like, again, go back to my thing. Why should anyone give a fuck about Mark Fox?
Okay.
It's like, that's the question, right? So that first question we sit with anyone is, why should they care? And then go, okay, who do you want to target? So there's two elements to a brand, right? Because it's always about audience. Who do you want to target? Right? Okay, cool. Let's say we're targeting overweight mums, 35 overweight mums. Okay, why are them mums going to care about Mark Fox? Right? That's the question. So that we start there. Then we have to find what you like, because ultimately it's always two elements. There's the audience and the person. Or the business. Whether let's just forget whether you're a product or a person, you're just a thing, right? Wants to be a brand.
Sure.
Who is the target audience? And then how are you going to, with your skill set and your beliefs and your thing, how are you going to attract that target audience? Now it could be you're a good looking bloke that you just do it purely by being, looking good, talking, being flirtatious and getting them excited. We don't know what it will be until we go, okay, who is your target audience and why are they going to care or give a fuck about you? But then we go, okay, actually your skill, and then part of it could be me and you start talking and we go, and by conversation and trying to figure out why you're unique and why your program is unique or what you want to do is unique, we might go, that's the wrong audience. Your skill set sits here and you're going to appeal to this audience. And then you'll go, oh shit, good point. Let's go now. Okay, then how do I get their attention? And how do I make them want to understand listen to what I'm saying? And this will come down to the question, where do I go on social media? Well, you only use social media if your target audience are on social media. Then if they are on social media, what platforms they consume information from? And then you target there, because everyone goes off Facebook, Instagram, blah, blah. But if your target audience not on Facebook and not on Instagram and they're living on LinkedIn, why the fuck are you marketing on social platforms where your target audience are not? So if I met someone for the first time, it's like, why are they unique? Right? I want to understand that, why they're unique, because sent you before, like being a problem solver. I want to find out where their uniqueness sits. Right? That can always be tinkered and changed, but ultimately we're always our best selves when we're pretty much doing the thing we love. Right?
Sure.
Yes, you can make money from doing things you don't love and pretending to be someone else, but you get caught out eventually. Do you know what I mean? Going back to James Smith, he was just a guy with a massive voice who wanted to say shit and just like wanted to use a C-bomb all the time. And that was his thing. And that was his thing. And it worked. So he doubled down on it. And as he's got more popular, he's had to refrain from it, because now with larger audiences, you have to then be more responsible with what you say. It's just normal.
So in the beginning, how important is it to be like super specific on a niche? Obviously with like James PT or Gymshark, as time goes on, they become more general pop. But in the beginning, how important is it just to have like one thing or one voice?
Right. I'm going to say, let's talk about individual coaches. They just want to make money to start with, right? So it's going to be really hard to say to someone, you've got to niche down, because all they see is wide audience going like this. And they're thinking money is getting smaller, getting smaller, getting smaller, getting smaller, getting smaller, getting smaller. But in reality, if you look at any of the biggest brands in the world, one of my branding principles, one of my principles of consulting anyone is we never look at where a business is today. We look at where it started. Because people can look at Gymshark, where they are today, $1 billion business, right? But really it started with Ben Francis in his room selling string of vests and printing himself into tops, right? So that's where he started. He hustled at the start. He worked. He basically was going around YouTube and getting all the YouTube guys to wear his stuff and stuff. He was hustling, right? He's a shy guy, but he was on there hustling. So we have to understand the core basics. So of brand foundations is that we have to target a specific audience. So if you're new into the space, you got to go, okay, where am I best serving? Who am I best serving? If you want to serve everybody, you're going to struggle unless you're massively unique. Because reality is humans, we're so busy, right? When we look at advertising online, it's got to get our attention straight away. Right. So if you're a fat, overweight, same thing. If you're an overweight 40-year-old guy who's an entrepreneur who's busy ass as hell, you have no time to work out, and you suddenly get hit by an advert from a guy who's like the dad bod guy or the business bod guy who can get you, a six-pack in 6 months without working out, that's going to grab your attention. If you're that guy who doesn't want to work out, who's busy with business. So we have to understand. The newbie into the space has to really understand that they have to focus on a specific niche. Nike sold running trainers to track athletes at Oregon University to start. Now it's a multi-dollar business. You know what I mean? It's like you have to micro niche down. And people hate me saying this because they feel like they're about to lose a ton of money. But the reality is, you're not looking for this information if you're making money already, right?
How far down?
How far down? It depends on the individual. It depends on the individual. It depends on the environment they live in, where they come from, their skill sets they've got, their social skills. Again, it's very individual basis. But I would say to anybody is that if you're going to start from the bottom as a baseline start, male or female, 5-year age gap, one massive problem. Go after that. So it could be women, post-pregnancy. Age can be 5 years, but sometimes you can get, because this is the key importance why this age is important. I'm 44 years of age. If someone tries to target me and an 18-year-old with the same copyright and language, it's not going to work. Sure. But if they tailor the language to me as a 44-year-old, it's going to hit home with me. I'm going to resonate with it. But it's still like, it's got, what is that? How 18-year-olds talk. I sound so old then. But if it's tailored towards an 18-year-old market, I'm going to be like, whatever. I'm 44. I've got life experience. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when I see like a 22-year-old life coach. I'm like, fuck off. You don't live. But that's just me being old and grumpy, right? So anyone starting out, go male or female. This is the probably best way. Male or female, age within 5 years of how that old person is, one massive pain point, and just go all in on that. Because then what happens with that is that all your content, all your marketing, all your things you talk about are lasered into that 5-year gap, that male or female and their problem. And you can then poke so many holes in people. People will respond if you poke them enough. You know, if you're targeting me and I was overweight and I'm 40 to 45, you know, and I haven't got time, you can poke my holes. If you understand who I am, and when you understand that target audience, you can go and ask everyone you know who's that age, that demographic, you know, and you can find out all their problems. And when you find people's problems out, you can create solutions. It just makes life so much easier, especially if you're online. If you work in a gym, it's difficult because the people in the gym are different. But again, you can still be that. The gym's got thousands of people come through the doors every day. Humans are pretty much normal, right? Everyone's got the same things. They want to lose weight. They want to look good. You know, there's so many things you can do, but ultimately it comes down to, that's the thing, 3 baselines, male or female, 5-year age gap, 1 pain point. Always, if you're going to start out, just focus on one problem. The reality is there's always a halo effect. You're going to find people this problem, or you're going to find people that are outside of that, and they're going to come to you anyway. One of my friends does, like, he basically just helps dads, and it was like basically dads, you know, who are busy, like living life and stuff. And he was like 35, 40, but now he's kind of expanded out of that because people outside of that target audience he was going for have now kind of see him for help, because they've seen him transform this age group and this age, you know, this area. It's just natural. You've got to start tight to move forward, because socially it's like, again, why should I give a fuck about your business? You try to target everybody and talk to everybody, no one's going to care online. Or you can end up creating a TikTok, which is just a load of fucking noise and nonsense, and no one ever signs up. So there's people who get massive audiences from being very generic, but then struggle then to turn that into revenue, because like, okay, now I've got all this people looking at me and I'm just talking a load of nonsense. How do I then formulate that into a program that these people are interested in? And the influencers have that problem. They have this like, when I say influencer, I mean someone who's just created a social following from just nonsense, basically, half the time. A person of influence is different. If you're a person of influence, people listen to you, follow you, do what you say, buy your programs. If you're an influencer, you're just someone who's got a following from doing daft shit or having a great body or whatever it may be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So the idea would be to niche down to start with, and then as your business grows, you're organically just going to start to reach more people because of the results that you're delivering and showing online. So then more people will naturally just gravitate to you anyway.
Yeah, I've got a really good example of that. Most people have probably heard of Golly gummies. They started off with the apple cider vinegar gummy. It's called Golly's a brand. If you've not seen it, go and Google it. It's basically they came out of a larger red tub. It said Golly apple cider vinegar gummies. So
yeah, I know.
So they realized in the fitness space and the health space, people couldn't stand pouring apple cider vinegar into a cup every morning and drinking it. Now it tasted shit unless you like the taste of vinegar, right? But people drank it. So they created an alternative, and they created this one product. They had only that one product for about 2 years and blew up, right? For that one product. Now they recognize that their target audience, which is basically mums and sort of 25 plus women, were buying that. And they recognize that, okay, what other supplements are they already buying? Now they're buying greens, turmeric, and all these 3 other supplements they created. So they created them in gummies and sold them. Pop, they sold off straight away. Now, what they realized over time is that all those women that are buying their products, 85% of them are mums. So they just launched a child gummy. So when you understand your target audience, it could be, so let's go going after, post-pregnancy mums, right? You're training them to get themselves back in shape, right? So that you've created a program. Let's just say it's a program for that. Now you've created a program for getting them back in shape, and then people are going to see online that you've changed these mums' bodies from being, post-pregnancy, carrying excess fat and obviously saggy skin and cellulite, etc., and then got them in really amazing shape. Now that's going to appeal to people that are not even parents or people that are mums 5 years ago. But you've created this one program. But what you've also done is, like, once you niche down, once you start really understanding that audience, you understand the other issues they have in their life and the other things they would need. So as a fitness person, right, as a coach, if you're coaching guys at 40-year-old guys getting back in shape, they're going to have testosterone issues. So therefore, you potentially at some point could create testosterone supplements, or you could create yourself a TRT lab. I don't know where it could be anything, right? But the point is that the more you niche down and you grow with that audience, the more you understand it. And as you said, people from outside of it will look in. Do you know what I mean? People are looking and go, why are they doing so well? It's like Nike, right? Nike started with one trainer for track athletes. Now they're selling basketball shoes. They're all sorts. They are the biggest sportswear brand in the world. Started from one guy who wanted to sell sneakers to his mates at college. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
How important do you think it is? Do you think you can build a brand on social media now, if you're a coach or an influencer, without creating a camp or by being polarizing? So take the Liver King as an example, right? He's an extreme example of creating an us and them with the meat eating, with the ancestral living, and anyone that didn't was put in this other camp, and it was us against them.
Subprimal.
Subprimals, that's the ones. So is it possible to build a brand without being that polarizing, or do you have to have an element of that?
Absolutely. People, humans, we like nice people. We also like people that are out there, you know.
Sure.
So absolutely, but again, it comes back to the fact that I said at the start. You've got to give people a reason to give a fuck about you. Now, that doesn't have to mean you have to walk around beating your chest, wearing your top off, claiming to be like natural and and lying on podcasts. But ultimately, the Liver King knew what he was doing. He was rich before he was on social media, and if you want to believe what everyone said online recently about him, it was all planned. He wanted to grow a certain way, build a social media team. But the guy was rich, so he can do that.
Yeah.
But look at anyone who's out there right now on social media. Look where they started, right? If you see someone online and they inspire you, or you kind of look at them and go, they've done really well, I'd love to mirror what they've done. Go back 5 years in their social media and look where they started. And going back to your question, no, you don't have to be this like out there character. You can just be yourself. If you're a kind of cool person and a cool personality, and you could be that meek and mild person that just talks, but you've got to give reason for people to care. And that doesn't mean it has to be your character. It might be your program or the way you deliver information or how you help people. And everyone's always looking to try and win online, but ultimately it's the work you do offline that makes your online work. And people go, what do you mean by that? Well, just because you're online trying to be this big worldly person or try and get traction, remember, it's like we all live offline. Facebook is just an app on our phone. They can delete it tomorrow. It's gone. So what are you doing offline? How are you communicate? Because you can learn offline. How about face-to-face conversations with people? I love when I meet a brand. It's like I'm in Spain right now. A lot of my clients are US based. When I go in the US, I just meet up with the clients because we can get so much more done because we're working face-to-face or just meeting people and having. I learned all my skills in branding and psychology from being sent to boarding school at the age of 8. I'm not trained in it, but I had to learn from the age of 8 how not to get the shit kicked out of me and my brother by bigger kids. Yeah. And you soon learn how to persuade and manipulate situations so you don't get beaten up. So you don't have to be this brash character online. You just got to give people a reason to care about what you say. If you're saying the same shit as everyone else, why should anyone stop and listen to you? We're all busy. Why is Andrew Tate blown up? Because so if I take these examples of the Liver King, Andrew Tate, it's because they're coming out with like outrageous stuff, which gets attention. But ultimately, if you the crux of it is the Liver King works because all guys want to basically be alpha males. The reality is only 1% of males are alpha, but everyone wants to be an alpha male. Alpha males don't walk around beating their chest saying they're alpha males. Alpha males are the quiet ones. They're just alpha males. Everyone knows who they are. So, but everyone wants to be an alpha male. And with Andrew Tate, ultimately, it comes down to he's inspiring the younger generation to be more than what the world's trying to project and tell them to be. So, but we're all not that level. We can't get that attention, but we need to give people a reason to want to listen to what we say. And that could be multiple things. But it's all, again, from a brand consultative point of view, when I speak to someone, we have to look at the person first and go, okay, where's your unique skills going to be? Because some people have the best knowledge in the world, but they're shy as fuck, right? So how do they get information out? Sometimes you then have to create a character to fake it till you make it kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or you look at different angles you can go for. But no, you don't have to be. So, and again, going back to what we said a while back, social media, you might not even need it. Yeah. People nowadays, that sounds strange. But you might not even need social media to grow your business.
That's what I was going to ask is like how, once you've established your core values as a brand, you've established what you're going to niche down on, you know what the one problem is you're going to face, you now know who your audience is, then like how would you use social media if at all? Or what is your next step then to get your message out to start getting people?
So you've identified who you are, you've identified who you want to go after. Then it's who you want to go after. Where do they hang out? What magazines they read? Who inspires them? What do they do outside of what trying to solve the problem? You're going to remove the pain or give them the pleasure they need, right? So it's all based on them. If they're on social media, so the primary, this is a good one talking about products. 80% of women control the credit cards in the household, and about 80% of the payments in the household are paid by the women in the household. This is like general statistic for America. That's the case, right? So that women control the credit cards, they pay for everything in the house, right? So if you're going to target anyone, target women because they control all the money in the house, basically. But with your fitness, you control more of a psychological thing. But the second part of that is most people go, oh, where these women hang out? Well, affluent women hang out on Pinterest. Right. Pinterest is basically all women, like 85% women, and 30 plus, and got money. So it's like people always go, oh, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok TikTok nowadays, because they see that's where there's a lot of noise and a lot of stuff happening. But if your target audience on none of them platforms, or they're not heavily engaged on those platforms, there's no point even being on. There's a point to be on the platforms. There's no point trying to engage marketing on those platforms. Now, I know people in the fitness space and in multiple spaces that do all their business offline. They go and meet the people where they're at. So let's say, for example, you're targeting the older generation, talking like 60 plus. Yeah, they're hardly going to be on social media, but they're going to be in community groups. They're going to be doing things in certain like gyms and what have you. So you meet the people where they're at. This works for a personal brand and a product brand. You meet people.
Alex Hormozy.
Yeah,
Alex Hormozy says the same thing. He says to go to the audience. He says that even if your product is subpar, if you go to where the most people that your product solves the problem for, then that's like the best case scenario.
I can give you a prime example. One of my clients, he's a product brand. He was like trying all the time on social media to push his products, and I said to him, dude, sack your job. This is not great advice, but it worked for him. He's doing $1 million a year now. I said, get rid of your job, get on the road, and go and meet the people where they're at the farmers markets, at the events and stuff. He's doing $1 million a year in sales, right? Just from that. So he was selling a product, but he had a larger than life character that kind of came across as arrogant online. Right. When you meet him in person, he's big and bulgy, but he's kind of like nice and cuddly. Do you mean at the same time? When you meet him in person, he's really warming. But you meet him online, you just think you arrogant prick. So I was like, go to the people. And Alex is exactly right. You've got to always, if you take anything away from this conversation today, anyone who's listening to this, it's all about your audience. Everything is about your audience. No one gives a fuck about you, right? Yeah. Right? Really, it's about them. So what is their problem? Because we're all selfish. I've got a need. I've got a desire. I've got a want. How do you fulfill it? Now, if you fulfill it and make me laugh, or I enjoy your content, or I want to engage you, brilliant. Now I'm going to buy anything off you. Right? That's how it works. Look at the CrossFit community, like Rich Froning or Matt Fraser, more like Rich Froning. People like CrossFit generally love Rich Froning. Now he's kind of changed his branding. Well, he's kind of changed his way he does stuff now, because he's now talking about hunting, which now has pissed a lot of people off. But he don't care, because he's done his thing now, right? He wants to hunt. He's going to hunt. But it's always about your audience. If you're trying to build a community, you try and generate sales and revenue, it's going to be really hard for you to think about niching down, but you have to niche down and create and just go after a target audience, because they'll love you if you are genuinely trying to help them. And it's all about value as well. Like you mentioned Alex Hormozy. What's he trying to sell people?
Nothing.
Why is he doing that? Because one, he's making money, and he knows what he is trying to sell, but he's kind of doing like a Liver King way. What he's doing is he's creating massive exposure for himself, so he gets these really high ticket clients on board. Yeah, like he's already doing. Now he's showing videos of him with massive YouTubers that got massive audiences wanting Alex Hormozy's advice. He's made money, and he's done it the right way, and he's done really well for himself. But he's now using social media to get him more high ticket clients effectively. But he's also then creating value for everyone else by just telling you everything. Yeah. No different to Gary Vaynerchuk. It's no different. He wasn't trying to sell you anything. He was just trying to give you value. And it's about value. It's like, when I say that, people might, you've got to give to get. And that's an important part of it as well. Why do people care about you? It's because sometimes it's the information you give them. Like you can transform someone's life without them paying you a penny. And how magical was that? Like even in some of my groups, I have people saying, "Dude, I'm doing X amount a year based on just the information you give away for free." I'm like, brilliant. I'd be more happy for you. Fantastic. Because the reality is, when someone gets to a point where, like, I remember in the fitness space, you always get it. Well, why should I buy your program? I can get it off Google. Well, fuck off to Google and get it then. It's like, it's kind of like people can, but people buy into you when you excite them and make them feel like you can solve their problem. They can solve it themselves. Everybody in the world can solve their own problem if they went on Google, but they can't. So they have to warm to someone or something to change it for them. And that's what.
And by giving that value out consistently, like that guy that goes to YouTube or goes to Google to get your workout, if he then gets results from your workout, the next time he needs a workout or he's done all the free ones, the first person he's going to come back to is you and buy your services to do them.
Yeah, the tactic I used to build my supplement brand to 7 figures was this. I gave away our brand, which sold supplements, gave away 8-week training programs for every thing. So it was weight loss, put size on. I can't remember what the third one was. It was basically lose fat, put size on. There's another program. I can't remember what the third one was. But we gave away a full detailed exercise nutrition program, told them everything. And all we did within the nutrition program was like, post-workout shake, linked to our product. And then we just led with value. Cool. And we kind of just said, well, everyone in the industry is giving every PT, every coach in the world trying to sell you a training program. Well, we've created a training program with some of the elite trainers in the world, and for free. And I was like, wow.
Awesome.
It's just understanding what the market's getting. So we can talk about people look at their competitors. If you're good, you have no competition.
Yeah.
And people go, well, because everyone's selling 6-pack plan, everyone's selling how to get big, everyone's selling this. Then if you create a unique position in the market that's basically you and your audience working together and delivering on value, as you said, you can just transform people's bodies with program. Like you can show people how to do stuff all day long, but they're going to want to. You're not going to give out your full program every time online, but you just got to get results with people. When you get results with people for free, they'll pay for your paid programs if they like you enough. If they like you enough.
The biggest companies in the world created their own space. When you look at Airbnb, when you look at Uber, when you look at Tesla, look at SpaceX, look at even Apple, like everyone was using Nokias and then Apple came along with a smartphone. Like they created their own market. They created their own space. And those companies are the ones that are the biggest.
Yeah, the iPod's the best one. So everyone was at the time it was MP3 players, and the iPod, they said 1,000 songs in your pocket. Just made sense to people. Talking about 128 meg iPod MP3 players. Like what the fuck's that? 1,000 songs in your pocket. Got it. So it's like sometimes, and this is the thing again. It's always quite apparent in products and personal brands is that people don't want to drink from a fire hose. Yeah. So just because you can give them so much information doesn't mean it's good. People like simple shit that works. And I find, even like with my 48,000 a year, consulting clients, the most simplistic shit works for them. We get on conversations, but like we're not going to go too deep into subject. Here's the strategy. Do it for 3 months, and then we tinker around that. Then we get deeper in conversations when we start seeing the metrics. But right now, do X, and then see where it's at. We'll see where Y is in 3 months' time. And that shit works. So it's like when you sort of think about what when you create a program, is don't try and create it too difficult because people haven't got time to like sometimes I've seen it before when it's like a 4-week program and the PDF's 33 pages long. It's like fuck me, I just want to know what I got to buy, what I got to how I cook it if I need to be told how to cook it, and then how I work out, and don't make it complex. So I'm dumbing down, guys. There's not you guys who watch this that are super smart and way smarter than me. The point I'm trying to get to is that consumers don't have much time and they want pure value and they just want results. And the simpler you make it, the better.
That's something I've seen a lot with people's value proposition is that rather than selling the outcome and selling the experience, and Alex Hormozy, again, like I always go back to him because he says such good things, but he says to sell the holiday, not the flight. And I see a lot of people who are advertising their coaching services as like, here's a instruction, here's a feature, here's a feature, here's a feature. Like you get check-ins, you get a diet plan, you get this. Whereas really you should be looking at what is the one problem you're solving and sell on the outcome. And then you get all this stuff that's going to help you to actually get there.
Yeah, it's a big thing that product brands make on the websites. Like let's say, for example, try to solve back pain. The first picture you see is someone with pain. People with back pain don't want to be in pain. They want to be playing with their kids. They want to be running around the park. They want to be lifting weights. They want to be enjoying themselves. So that's why kind of before and afters work in the fitness space, because people are seeing what the after effect is of that. But think about this as well. This is probably additional, but think about like when you show a before and after picture, it's just not how their body looks. How's their mental state? How's their lifestyle? How's their relationships, their family? That stuff is the shit that sells. That's the stuff that when you write copy about that, it's like, so for example, when we were talking before, Mark, we were talking about like my brain, how it goes back and forth all the time. It's like, when I watch something online, it taps into what my psyche is like at the time. I'm absorbed because I'm like, okay, you've now tapped into how I'm feeling emotionally.
Yeah.
Me and you discussed before how I used to suffer from a really bad anxiety and a panic disorder in the military. So I can really understand when I speak to people now, I understand that I can tell if they've got that kind of same features I have. So I know how to tap into their brain and talk to them in a way that they feel comfortable about exposing themselves, if you want to call it that, or opening up more.
Sure.
I love that because I've got a passion about stopping men with mental health issues. So it's no different so that kind of psychology is how it works in anything when you try to set a program. It's like tap into why. So my dad hated me as a kid because he would say, don't do it. I'm like, why? Because I fucking said so. I'm like, but why? And I was the same when I was in the military. I used to ask why all the time. Why does that work? Because it does. No, that's not an answer, Chief. Why does it actually work? So in real life, when it comes to business, when you go, someone wants to lose weight, why do they want to lose weight? Then they give you an answer. That's why again. Then it's why again. Because down below, deep down, when we talk about target audiences, you want to get like 15 layers down on whys to why someone wants something. Then you can build back up on content after that. A lot of the time, it's psychological issues. It's body dysmorphia. Sure. It's shit that's happened in the past. It's sometimes you just want to get laid. Do you know what I mean? It could be as simple as that, right? They want to look good. They were bullied at school. That sort of kind of stuff. You as a brand, when you're focused on a specific market, you can start to understand why they want something or they desire something, and then that's why people start listening to you. And going back to James Smith, when he's learned that from his target audience, and back in the day, he was saying shit that resonated with people because even though he positioned it with this, dropping the C-bomb and swearing all the time, and being very direct, but he also understood the psychology of the target audience he was going after. Therefore, it connected, and that's what it comes down to. It's like if we all remember being told off as kids. I'm sure anyone listening to this right now remember one time they got told off. They got really told off. The reason they remember it is because it emotionally connected on level. I remember the best bollocking I ever got in the military when my two chiefs sat me down and they were like all calm and they were like, "You've let yourself down. You're a really good human, etc." If you shout at me, it goes in one ear and the other, and I don't remember it. But they sort of kind of like broke me down emotionally, and I started crying because it was like. When they were talking to me, I recognized that, I had been a shit human for a while. I was partying too much. I wasn't being my best self without getting too woo-woo about it. But ultimately, they connected to my gut and my heart as opposed to my brain. And, and a second to that, humans buy emotionally, and they try to make it sound great by putting logic around it. We all buy emotionally. Why do we buy designer clothes? You don't need to. Why do we buy certain cars? Why do we dress a certain way? Why do we do anything? Why do we eat certain foods? It's all emotionally based. So we have to, so as a brand, we have to connect emotionally to people. And that's the best thing you can learn is how to connect. Read books about cults, read books like this book here behind me, Olga V on advertising, read books like that, read books, psychology, learn copywriting, understand how to really connect with someone. And the best thing you can do if you know your target audience, go and sit down with them, have a coffee, have a beer, have a wine, and
that's such good advice.
It is, honestly, it's the best. And why my supplement brand works is because I was targeting me at the time. I was targeting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I woke up in the morning, how I felt. I wrote an email, and it just resonated with the target. My best ever email I ever sent was protein shakes are shit, because everyone knows because I was a brand selling protein shakes, and the whole email was about if you don't work out, you're not looking after your health. Don't buy our protein shakes. You're wasting your time. You're literally an idiot. You're an idiot for spending £45 a month on supplements, on protein shakes when you're not even training. I called everyone out. Our best protein sales day ever. Next 2 days from that email. So it's understanding why people do certain stuff. If you understand that, you connect with them. So there's lots of things in this. Might have put as a bullet point of what you need to know after this call. But
no, it's been like
Paul.
It's been really helpful, mate. Honestly, there's going to be loads of like information people could take away from it. Loads of stuff is going to help people who are at that stage of trying to grow, maybe haven't quite yet figured out what they're supposed to be doing to get to that next level. So huge amounts of value. Where can people find out more about you?
I'm just on Facebook, just right now. Yeah, just go to Facebook. That's where I talk a lot. I have different groups and what have you. But honestly, guys, just if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Paul M Booth, or come to Facebook. Always open to have conversations with people. My thing is problem solving, and I wrap it up as a brand. But yeah,
cool.
Just wrapping up what Mark said there, though, is to stick to a sex, an age gap, and one problem. Always one problem, and dig down on that, and then you'll start to develop a brand. You start to develop a noise, and you start to develop an audience based on that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Paul. Really appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure, dude.